Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Parallel League podcast. This episode, Mookah and I are joined by the one and only Sam Steffanina, so pretty cool. It's going to be a little bit more of a different episode, focusing on just Web3 gaming as a whole, but we will get into some parallel talk, of course, as well. But before we ask Sam all the hard-hitting questions, let me go over some announcements real quick. So, Prime Miner 2 is May 17th, broadcast on the 18th. The .65 patch is coming next week, and you can go to parallel.life/blog for the details of what is dropping there. And then the shotgun patch, the massive one where 67 cards, existing cards are going to be reworked, is happening the following week. And Mookah and I will actually be doing a podcast episode with Veen, going line for line on all of their reasonings for changing these cards. And so that will be next week's episode, so make sure to look out for that one. But now we can talk to Sam, who is one of the most prominent thought leaders in Web3 gaming, massively successful, and just a really awesome person. I want to say that. So, Sam, how you feeling? Welcome to the podcast.
Man, all I could think about is I heard about this the other day. 67 cards changed in one patch is insane. I was a Hearthstone enjoyer for a long time, and they would change. We would bitch for like 6 months, and then they would change like 3 cards with like one number on one card each would change, and it would be like one less damage or like one extra cost, and they'd be like, "Don't worry, like the whole meta is different now," and I'd be like, "Ah, this is so boring though." 67 cards is super cool. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff that can go wrong there too. But
that's the fun of it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the fun of it. Like, let people find light in a lot of stuff that was not even looked at before.
Yeah,
I saw one person say online that it felt like a new expansion, and when I heard that, I was like, okay, I guess we did it. I guess we got some excitement back, which is good. I hope people mess around. I've gotten DMs that were crazy for certain card changes, and Veen and I really were like, yo, let's give them something to be excited about. Like you said, normally games don't do this. To take a bunch of old cards and be like, yeah, let's rework a ton of them, or let's buff up a ton of them. So if things go back to what they were before, I have no idea, but I assume we've done enough to make things crazy.
I find it incredibly cool. I mean, of course, the Parallel team would just be like, let's just do our own thing here, and I love that. So yeah, I'm doing great. How are you, Allie?
Doing great. I'm excited for the shotgun patch, I will say. It's always nice when like the meta gets shaken up, and I feel like, the rationale was, a lot of those existing cards that were initially in the game, like they didn't quite do enough, and so I'm pretty hyped to see how the meta shakes up. But Sam, in the Web3 gaming community, you're very well known, and I think that extends to the Parallel community as well. But there might be some people in the Parallel community that aren't as macro on Web3 gaming. So do you want to just give like a little bit of background on who you are, just in case the people don't know?
Yeah, no, by all means. I'm sure many of them haven't quite heard of me. I'm sorry if I annoy you on Twitter with my daily tweets. That's my bad. But if you haven't been initiated to me saying Web3 gaming is inevitable every day, so my background's primarily YouTube. Me and my brother spent 7 years building the #1 dance channel in the world, and then 12-year-olds on TikTok absolutely kicked our ass. And so we were both sort of like, well, what do we do next? My brother loves music, so he went into DJing, he went to music school. He still does dance and still operates the channels that have I think combined 50 million followers between TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And then I decided to pursue video games because I was always a diehard, passionate video game player, primarily Blizzard games. Tried to be a pro StarCraft 2 player, failed miserably. That was a fun time. Loved Hearthstone, never tried to go professional, knew I didn't have the chops. Got severely addicted to World of Warcraft and Diablo 2. And then I found Web3 gaming, and I was like, oh my God, I know all this stuff about content, and there's just this really interesting blend of emerging technology and video games, and nobody's really making interesting content. It was just a lot about here's what I think is going to make a lot of money next. And that's still really prominent. And those people, I'm not, no shade, but I was like, what if I just make interesting content about with the Web3 gaming industry and sort of make it for, thought leaders and founders and VCs and stuff, as well as the consumer. And so I launched Gamified just over 2 years ago, which is my flagship Twitter space. Oh yeah, shout out to Allie wearing the
I got
hoodie.
the
Love you
hoodie.
for that. I also launched a show called Rumble, which is no longer with us. Another show called Simplified. A show called Alpha Wolves. Co-founded the WolvesDAO with Peyton, and the rest is history. So now we do a bunch of live events. Recently came on as the CMO of the Farcade, which is an AI and gaming startup that aims to be the TikTok of video games. And I could ramble on, but I think that's probably enough.
That's definitely piqued my interest right there. Real quick, we're going to segue into that because, with Parallel releasing Colony, obviously an AI, simulation game, like what do you think is going to happen to the gaming industry with AI? Like honestly.
I mean, so many things, to be honest. I mean, it's a $200 billion industry, which I know a lot of people talk about, but like music is 40 billion. So it's 5 times the size of the entire music industry.
Um,
And there's so many different wrinkles and nuances. Like specifically, we're focused on hyper casual mobile gaming, which for a long time has just been awful. Like there was actually a golden age of like Angry Birds came out and Flappy Bird came out, and surprisingly, a lot of bird games really did well. But like that was like an incredible time to be like a mobile game enjoyer. And
yeah.
then the whole like free to play wave and hyper monetization just sort of took over, along with performance ad marketing, just absolutely like dominating the landscape to the point where the discovery for anything that's actually interesting and unique and not hyper funded by these really big conglomerates is just like impossible to find and impossible to enjoy, and therefore it's not really made anymore. So I have a lot of ideas on how Colony is going to change things. I'll talk about the Farcade for a second. The Farcade basically changes like three fundamental things. One is, instead of having to go to the App Store, download new games, wait for it to download, open it up, instead it'll just all be on a feed because they're web games. So fundamentally, they don't need to be installed. So barrier number one, friction point number one, removed. That also means you don't have to uninstall them when inevitably you hate like 45 or like 80% of what I download. I get rid of in the next like couple hours. The next point is you have one login, so authentication, a single time, and then you can play as many games as you want. And then the third point is you can actually make and distribute your games too. So using AI and vibe coding, which I know is like kind of corny and not always in vogue. You can make your own games, distribute them on the same platform without needing to, I don't know the guy that runs Monopoly Go, or like have a cousin at Scopely or whatever people have to do right now. So we think those three things are going to massively sort of overhaul the entire mobile games industry. Colony, I just plan to spend way more time on the toilet and just like watching these little dudes and frantically checking my phone every like 30 minutes so that I can figure out what's next. And I think like the rise of thinking games is going to come back. Right now, it's really hard to find a game that piques your curiosity for more than like an hour or two. I'm playing the Bazaar right now, which
Mhm.
Reynad, please for the love of God, fix the UX. It's fucking terrible, but the game is incredible. Like the tones of the game is
Shots fired.
absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, a shout out to Reynad. I love the dude. He's great, but yeah, the UX is just like atrocious. And so I think that we'll find this really beautiful marriage of like, you don't have to have super complicated gameplay to be able to have really in-depth, interesting game mechanics. I hope that would make me really happy. What about you? What do you think?
I think for
That's so
me,
much.
yeah. Oh, Mookie, you can
Taken.
go. You want to go?
No. You go first. You go first. I need to
I,
think.
I think for me, I mean, actually not for me because I can spend a lot of time playing video games. But I was discussing this with my husband Mason, and I think that as you get older, like in your 30s, 40s, whatever, you have less time to play games because you're working, right? And so with the inception of these AI games like a Colony, where you're going to be able to get like scratch that itch of like you're playing a video game, but you're not constantly like playing a MOBA or something at the computer all day, like having that little check-in should be like a pretty incredible experience, I think, for the people that just don't have as much time, right? So that's something that I'm, excited to see if it captures that market of people, at least with AI gaming. All right, Mooka.
Yeah. No, I think I emulate the same kind of feeling. Like with Colony. Colony was the first time that like when I tried it like very, very early on in its development was like something that I've never experienced in gaming. And I have a very similar history with gaming as Sam with like all the Blizzard games and stuff like that. So like that was one when I was playing Colony, I was like, oh man, like we only played for 2 hours at that time. I think it was like the beginning of 24 or late 2023. and it was 2 hours, and they turned it off, and I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, that's it? Like, we're done? Like, when's the next time I can try this? And they're like, not anytime soon. And I was like, that really messed me up. It took a long, like how people feel about like Arc Raiders right now. I don't know if you guys know about that game. It's like this extraction shooter that like broke waves. They had an alpha just for like a week or something. And everyone is like like withdrawal now. That's how I felt with Colony.
Wow.
And it feels good that they're starting to do like more regular testing and stuff. And now that I'm a part of the team, I can like, sneak my way in a little bit more often, which is it's a very nice perk. But yeah, like it's really cool that like you're not the main player of the game, but you're still invested in the process. Like I get to check in on my guy and we're like, he's doing this other thing. And I'm like, well, hold up. Well, we said we were doing this thing. And he's like, oh, dang, you're right. Or like, no, we have to do this so we can get here. And you can kind of follow along. Like, even when I'm like working, I can like check on my guy and see what's going on and see his like progress, and we can plan together on how to do what's the next best thing. And then other people are doing that in the same colony. So I can go to like talk to like Allie's AI or Sam's AI and like try to coerce them to work with us to try to do something. Or, maybe my AI and be like, I don't really like their AIs, like we're not going to talk anymore. And that kind of like interaction is so cool. And then they even built in these like events that everyone has to work together. And if you're not prepared as a colony, you all can get wiped. Like those are all things that like I'm going to be checking my phone over, like constantly, like being like, I need to know what happened in the last half hour.
In the 2 hours or however long you played there, like how much of an emotional attachment did you build? Because I'm wanting to know like the parasocial, like usually it's in the context of like celebrity to viewer, but do you have a parasocial relationship with your AI agent?
Man, I think right now, no, just because I know that they're gonna get like wiped, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But for me, like the benchmarks were like the progress. Like my guy was gonna be like this I was like really inspired by like samurai stuff at the time when I first tried it. So my guy was going to make custom weaponry, like custom samurai swords for each guy in my colony. And we just discovered like nanotechnology, and then we were done. And I was like, bro, I just got here. Like I finally got my colonists to get over to this point, and it's all gone. So like now I'm a little bit scared to, pour my heart out over these next few play tests, because I know I'm going to lose the guy that I've developed like an attachment with or done all this progression with. But I'm sure when it's fully out, like if I lose my colonist, I don't know. That seems like it'll be rough.
I have a question for Sam, being the content creator wizard here. Like when it comes to a game like Colony, how would you approach content creation? Because I'm unsure if it'll be that interesting. Like it's going to be really fun to play and have your own agent and be invested in it. But how do you foresee, just with any AI games in the future, like it's almost like a storytelling thing. And so where do you see content creation going for that type of stuff?
Yeah, you nailed it right at the end. I was thinking about it while Mookah was giving that take. It really is like a giant step forward in idle gaming. And idle gaming really have like a lot of content that's created around it. But the difference is in idle gaming, most of the time you're making decisions that are more like to your preference. It's more like, do you equip this item or that item? Do you like cast spells or do you swing a sword? And like realistically, most of the playthroughs and the way that it unfolds are similar. It's just like I'm watching like the way that Tony would play instead of the way that Sam would play, which is not that interesting. But I think to your point, it really is like watching a story unfold, and you have to make such more interesting and meaningful decisions between each point in time. So I don't think it's going to be fun to stream, but I could definitely imagine like if I play for 6 hours, there's probably, I don't know, 30 minutes worth of like interesting beats in there and kind of like things unfolding. And this didn't go the way that I thought it would. This colonist is rebelling. I have to fight off these guys. I have to put more energy in this or whatever, make this interesting decision. And if you just condense that down and your reaction to the thing and sort of show people even quicker how it unfolds, I do think there will be a lot of content, arguably the most content that we've ever seen, because it's literally infinite. Like it's a solo game where you can play it forever, which has never really been seen before. I don't think people will try. Like people will play Factorio or whatever like for a bajillion hours, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I think with Colony, it's like it's gonna awaken this kind of like new beast that I don't think I've seen before with content in gaming, in the sense that like the game can create its own items on its own. Like normally games have a default set of items and they all do things or whatever. But with Colony, there's the opportunity that my guy or one of your characters makes items that no one has ever created before.
Yep.
Like in an early playtest, I saw someone make like an invitation to an underground like fight pit. Like what? Somebody else made a whole sleeping pod empire that we all had to pay rent so we could go to sleep and get good sleep. Like that kind of stuff is like unprecedented in that like it's like on the creativity of the user and how the AI reads like the player and can kind of go ahead and just make things that just that didn't normally exist in the game. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see like crazy experiments where people take an AI game, like Colony could be one, for example, and like community plays it. Like, you know, how, like Pokemon, they have like input action, like move up, move left. It's like you tell all these people, all these community members are like putting in chat what they want the AI to do. It aggregates what's like the overall opinion and just like plays itself and has this whole experience, like play together. Or like a big content creator plays like an AI game and just leaves it on 24/7. And like sometimes they're sleeping, but the game is just going and they're seeing what happens and they wake up and they react to it like, oh my God, what did this guy do? This idiot. Okay. Or like, oh my God, we broke through. Yeah.
Are you trusting Twitch chat with your family that you got?
No, not mine. It'll be a new account. That would be a fresh account. But I wouldn't be surprised that they would send an AI like off the colony, get himself booted, or do some crazy anarchy that you would not want yourself.
So fascinating. And I think you're absolutely right. Like that could be an avenue for content creators, is you wind up sort of being the ringleader of, you know, a potential, you know, majority rules, you know, decision making type of gameplay. But gosh, this is getting me really excited for Colony. You guys, but and just like the space in general evolving. But I think unless you guys have more to say on that, I think I might segue us into some other conversations about Web3 gaming, because we could probably talk on that one for quite some time.
Yeah.
So, Sam, I'm kind of curious, what do you think has changed the most in the last couple years? Like just sort of, and maybe give some context as to when you got into it and just like some biggest differences over the probably 3 years or so that you've been in it.
Yeah, I got in late 2021, so I guess like 3.5 years now or something like that. And you know, everybody talks about like the shift from speculation to like, I don't know, wherever we are now, which is still speculative, but not nearly as like rampant. You know, I've got like a 5-page pitch deck and I just raised $10 million off that. But I think what people don't really talk about is the fact that we just know so much more than we did. Like it's kind of like, I imagine whenever somebody's trying to like figure out how to build a rocket to the moon for the first time, and like they just probably failed for like 8 consecutive years. Like they were building the internet or they're building Apple computers or whatever, and they're just like, you imagine them in this garage and just being like euphoric and having nothing but incredible ideas and it being super easy to build the first Macintosh, but it was probably hell. Like it probably really sucked, and they had no money and no resources and nobody believed in them. And I kind of think that we're sort of working backwards. Like we had this like insane amount of interest and none of the technology, and now we have to go through our garage moment where it's like, okay, everybody's going to go super lean, and if you believe in it, you're just going to keep chipping away at these ideas, and we're going to try like 1,000 things knowing that at some point one of them will work. And you know, we know that the technology is so interesting and so worthwhile that it is inevitable. Like that's what I mean when I say that. Is I talked to Paul Bettner and I talked to Koji and I talked to Gabe Layden, and they're like, there's no world in which we don't use this. Like we're gonna use it and gonna use it in a lot of ways. Whether or not you can speculate on a token off the back of that, like that's the part that's maybe not inevitable. You know, I'm not sure. Same thing with NFTs. Same thing with a lot of the fractionalization and stuff that we see. So I get upset whenever people are like, it's not inevitable. You don't know that because I don't have a Lambo yet. And I'm like, that's not what I mean, dog. Like I can't write a thread every morning reminding you that's not what I mean personally, you know? So I think that, the thing that's changed is just how much we know. And it's kind of the Dunning-Kruger effect, if you guys are familiar with that, where it's like, whenever you learn the first 10% of anything, like the guitar, you convince yourself, you know, like 80% of the guitar. And then whenever you learn that next 10%, you actually realize that you only know 20%. And it feels even worse than knowing the first like 5%, because you're like, oh my God, there's so much I don't know. And I think as an industry, we went through that of like, we figured it out. Oh, fuck no, really did not figure it out. So hopefully sooner than later we do actually.
I love that spiel. That was
Yeah.
fantastic because it's like exactly. It's the how we don't really know yet, but will blockchains be used in the future? Like absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna die on that hill. I've already committed to that, but exactly. The exact way it gets manifested, we don't know, and so I agree. Tis inevitable
Love you for that.
for sure. Are there like going into the specifics, like have you noticed certain companies or like moving away from a particular strategy? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty there, but I'm just wondering if there's anything that stands out in particular that you think
The,
people have like woken up to or like really, said, "Oh, this isn't a good idea," or vice versa.
the pre-game TGE seems like a pretty bad choice at this point. I don't see that really. There's gonna take it's gonna need to be like somebody just launches something with like some new route of speculation on a pre-game TGE, and it goes to like a $1 billion for that to sort of come back. I think like enough people have been slapped down with the pre-product cryptocurrency launches that it's just not going to happen anytime soon.
Mhm.
I think we're in this really interesting point in time too where we're seeing more and more success with obfuscating web3, and everybody thought like, oh, if you add web3 and you like talk about it a lot, then the web3 community rallies around you, and that's how you get like the first cohort of users, and that cohort of users is going to spend so much money because they have so much money because they made money off of what you did, and then it's going to
Mhm.
turn into this whole thing that carries your game to the point of mass adoption. And I think that's sort of been dispelled too. People are realizing that it's really like a technological layer, and you can do some interesting things with it to build community and find sort of that like first, 100 people that really believes it, the 100 true fans. But
Mhm.
it's probably not going to bring you the first 10 million fans. And so I think it's more so like the NFL rivals where like you don't really know you're using blockchain, Maple Story, like you don't really know you're using blockchain. Indus, which is an Indian first person shooter with a 250 million players right now. They're right now on testnet doing stuff, but essentially whenever they go to mainnet, like all the skins that people have collected will be on the blockchain. And so there's things like that that are proving again that the technology is just like so fundamentally useful that it will exist. But I think people are moving more and more towards that. It's just tough. Like VCs are not as interested in that as like a liquid token that they can, you know, have an almost guaranteed way to get their liquidity out of before uh, the market does what the market does and stuff. So we're in our weird like prepubescent phase as an industry, and turns out whenever you're 12 years old, you fuck up most of the things you try to do.
that's a, that's such a good like analogy. I think that's man, it's such a very good comparison. I think a lot of projects or companies are finding their footing now, right? Like how do we actually build the product rather than talking about it and then make it like just before like it felt like games that were coming out and were just like launching and they were like super bare bones, but then they were like, I can ride this bare bone product to like Valhalla. Like
Yeah,
this will be acceptable forever. And we're starting to find out that like, no, you have to keep iterating. It has to get better. Like this is just like the rock bottom. It should be way better like through 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And you're starting to see that with a lot of teams. I mean, I hope Parallel is considered one of them that's like continually trying to iterate and make a better product over time. But
really
I
is.
like that's what I really like to see. Like the guys that are actually like, continually trying to improve the product and make it more enjoyable of an experience for their users. And then, that will make it more like just a successful company, right? You're not really like gambling that like my launch is just going to make us all rich and then that's it. We're good.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I think the best companies now in Web3 are ones that don't need Web3. Like they're using it because it's interesting and because they see value to be had there. But if everything disappeared tomorrow, they would have a completely sustainable business model without the token and without the NFTs, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting the tension of I guess the traditional, game devs. Like Sam, you brought up the bazaar earlier. And,
Right now.
I believe that, Raynad very much considered putting blockchain on the
Yeah, I
back
did
end.
hear
Like, I'm
that.
pretty sure that, like, some of the cards I actually have not, really played much, but I think one of the cards is called crypto or, like, so
There,
it was
yeah.
made to kinda, like, have it in there, and then decided to shift gears at the last second, I guess, in fear of the fallout, or I don't know the exact story, but something along those lines. And
Yeah.
so, when do you think those uh examples of those type of developers are gonna just take the leap, or is it just game suicide to the web 2 audience?
Good question. Yeah, so in the bazaar too, you collect chests, and then when you open the chests, you get like collectibles. So you get like one out of 100,000 versions of insert card here, and so it's really obvious that yes, he almost certainly did intend to have like crypto in there. At the end of the day, like in a lot of ways, you don't necessarily need crypto to have like limited edition anything. The problem is like it's just fundamentally less cool. It's like not verifiably rare, and
Mhm.
at the same time like you can always print more because you didn't like lock it into a smart contract and these things, so we end up in a place where we just have to trust people to do the right thing, and that's
Mhm.
historically pretty much always screwed us over whenever we've tried to trust anybody with like hundreds of millions of dollars to do the right thing by consumers. So shout out to Blizzard on that one. um I think that there's a really good opportunity for somebody like Parallel, which has done a great job to this point, to prove that, like, again, verifiably rare things that people can transact with can lead to a really vibrant marketplace and economy the way that, like, I'm sorry to use this example, but the way that CSGO has. But again, CSGO hasn't used blockchain. So it's like you have to find these edge cases where you really improve the experience and also the profitability. And when you can find that little Venn diagram, that's where like magic happens on both sides. And I think to answer your question originally, which is like, how do you get people to stop like doing one of these and like running away
Mhm.
whenever blockchain is brought up in the conversation? It takes a couple of those things being wildly successful.
Yeah.
It took the first iPhone coming out and a bunch of like fast adopters, standing in line outside of a Target or whatever they did to get the first iPhone, and then bear through like 3 months or 3 years of like really shitty app stores to get to the point where like Angry Birds and Words with Friends and stuff came out, and it was like, oh, you can actually have cool experiences, and it's not just like trendy and a fad. And we're still so early on, and we have such a we have such a huge cohort of fucking clowns that just like represent us on TikTok, and they just like run up to people with microphones and say like, would you rather have a dog picture or a Ferrari? And then they like try to dunk on people whenever they choose the wrong one. Like, I don't blame people for hating us. That's the problem, dude. I can't there's no like
Yeah.
deniability here. It's just painful, and we'll get there though. We'll get there. You just
Yeah.
got to stay strong.
It's not the same level of comparison, but it does feel like when like the internet came out. It's not to, I wouldn't say it's the same degree with severity, but like when there was so much stupid stuff on the internet. I mean, there still is a lot of stupid stuff on the internet, but like it took away all the merit from like all the cool stuff that could come from it. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, why would I need to go on the internet? Like I could just use all this other stuff that we've been using. It doesn't matter. And then
Yeah.
slowly but surely it became a tool that you can't live without. And not to say that blockchain will necessarily like be the thing you can't live without, but it's just like a technology that will have a lot of value and can be used just as an underlying infrastructure for so many products and stuff, especially gaming. So I think you're right. We have unfortunately a lot of idiots that are running around that are making it hard, but as like more and more stuff comes out that people are like, oh, I can use this, and like, oh wait, this has blockchain. Okay, it didn't like scam me. It didn't do anything stupid. It just worked. Okay, cool. I'll use another thing that has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The implementation is like quality of life. Like, people don't
Yeah.
realize it's a quality of life thing, but that's really just what it comes down to. And then the second thought was just that I have learned, I think, to relax a little bit on the defensiveness of it because of the idiots, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
really important, in that even if you're coming from a good place and you see the potential of it, there are a lot of, scams and people doing the things that Sam just mentioned. So I feel you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, Alex, since you obviously had a much more like public transition. Mine was like I like moved industries while also moving into this like new technology. And so nobody was like, dance crypto, but like obviously gaming is like a much more sensitive thing, and it's like we did have so many scams. It's really hard to, I think, to defend. Like you, and
Yeah.
how many people actually have their minds changed by like one conversation? It's usually milestone after milestone after milestone until they finally like can do a thing without freaking out about it.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Like same question.
Honestly, not that great. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I definitely I think that I've tried to avoid a lot of, like, if there ever, when the drama between Parallel and Hearthstone was going on, like, I know my name was thrown in the Reddit threads and being said, not great things, and I just didn't look, it's like I have conviction in what I believe in and stuff like that, and I do think there were nice moments where people did be or they were open-minded and they took a chance on it and they're like, oh, they wound up really loving the game. Or like one of my longtime viewers lives in Germany and then he was at Gamescom last year. I got him into Parallel and he apparently really helped the booth and they were like, oh my God. And that's someone that did take a chance and wound up loving the game. And so I have also had those really beautiful moments as well. But of course, anytime you're breaking the mold or doing something different, a lot of people are going to be uncomfortable with it. And, so it is what it is. But I have a post about crypto gaming, and I kind of just want you and Mookah to like yay nay, like agree with these points. You probably have seen it. It's the Hunter Solaire post, why crypto games aren't more popular. So he has 7 points, and so I'm just going to go through them and give me the yay nay. 1, the market for crypto games is incredibly small.
Yeah.
Currently, yay.
Yeah. Yeah, currently super yay.
Yay, but
Yeah.
with some reservation there, a little bit.
Yay with an asterisk.
Okay. 2, many teams were overfunded, wasteful, and inexperienced.
Yeah.
Yay. Again,
Yeah.
with an asterisk of blockchain, like Web3 gaming is just more expensive. Like
Mm.
emerging technology, nobody understands how to code in Solidity and Rust, and like legal shit is super expensive, unclear regulatory environment. So like wasteful, yes, probably in a lot of ways, but I think a lot of people were just like, I didn't realize I was gonna have $4 million in legal bills to figure out how to
Yeah.
launch a token because I'm in America. Like this shit like that just was bad.
So incompetence, somewhat, like more so than like
Naiveness,
well,
naiveness.
Yeah.
These are all like words with like negative connotations. It's like there's
yeah,
a level of innocence where I think a lot of founders and companies like they just raised a lot and then just didn't know, like because it was all new. Like no one knew that like, oh wait, I have to get the top of everything to make sure I don't end up in jail, and like the stuff doesn't get hacked. And then like all that together, I think just amounted to unprecedented costs that they probably wouldn't have expected in a traditional industry. And that being said, on top of that, they had to build the product, which is also expensive. So I think that kind of stuff together added up.
agreed. And also, I said say yay nay, but I think the discussion is a good idea. So thank you for the asterisk. Like, we don't have to just cap it at yay nay. Okay. The third point was over 90% of playtime is going to old mega titles like CS:GO and Fortnite.
Nay.
Nay?
Mookah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's tons of games coming out that get a lot of attention now. Like this year was like a golden age for gaming. We got like Blueprints, Expedition 33, Arc Raiders that like blew like the player extraction genre like out the water. Like no one knew, like no one was even looking at these games, and now suddenly everyone wants to play an extraction shooter because of that game. Like I think we've hit a very, very good stride in gaming in general. The incumbents are actually, I'd say, like at a risk more now than ever. Not to say that CS:GO and Fortnite are going to go bankrupt, not at all. But what I'm saying is like the new studio, the independent developers have more of a chance to succeed than they ever did. And if they're making good products, they'll do really, really well. Like Expedition 33 was like they just put out an article that, if you guys don't know, it's like an RPG that came out. And they had like their whole innovative thing was that you can parry like in a turn-based RPG, which you never could have done before. And it had a lot of success. And like their team was like a bunch of junior game designers and developers. Like I forgot what company they were from, so but it was a major company. And the founder was like, they never let us make a game like this, so we just left and then got a bunch of junior designers to help us make it. And then it's like a contender for Game of the Year. Like this is like a crazy time in gaming history where we've never seen this kind of success. It used to be like the major studios, like your Bungies and your Blizzards and stuff like that. But trust for those, I think, is like, I'd say at an all-time low. So that's why I kind of say nay.
Before you give your answer, I wanna okay, Mookah, you said like it's been in like a golden year. And
Yeah.
maybe there's a disconnect for me, but I'm wondering, Sam, maybe like how do I phrase this? Clearly the quality of games, like these great titles that you all just mentioned are coming out, but I personally feel like a vibe of like gaming kind of being in a rut. Maybe it's more on the content creation side of things. Like I don't think Twitch streaming is as like prominent as it was like in the days of like Fortnite and Among Us. Like it could
Yeah.
be me slightly out of touch here, but would you agree in that sense? Or I'm just curious.
I think it's the golden age of live ops. It's like the
Yeah.
golden age of you can play Call of Duty forever. You could play Minecraft forever. You could play Fortnite forever. You could play CS:GO forever. Dota 2 forever, like
Mhm.
forever. And not really get tired of it because there's always another patch, there's always another update, there's always another and as a person, again, we're all here because we love emerging technology. We love the cutting edge of things. Like naturally we're gonna be bored. And if UGC is like the big iteration, like the big thing that we're we're finding success from, I don't know. Like, is that a golden age for gaming? I think it's a golden age for like the democratization of creativity,
Mhm.
to some extent. But even then, like Roblox and Fortnite were sold to us as like anybody can build the next great Fortnite game now. And if you look at the top 100 for Fortnite and Roblox games, like 98 of them are made by studios that are
Mhm.
just Roblox UGC studios. And so they've even taken that thing that was like for the people to democratize creativity and they've corporatized that too. And I find that kind of frustrating. Um, I'm obviously passionate about this because Farcade, we're trying to make it so that one person that doesn't have coding background could actually make a game and distribute it. So we're
Right.
sort of trying to upset that paradigm, at least in mobile gaming. I wouldn't say it's a golden age for gaming personally, but I will say to Muka's point, it is more permissionless than it's ever been to be in gaming. You don't necessarily need a huge studio. You don't need somebody that has access to a million SaaSes that you can't pay for because
Yep.
you're too small and all these different things. Distribution too. If you're clever enough with social strategy and Reddit and you just like are really scrappy, like maybe Black Myth Wukong can come out and win Game of the Year. Like there are more opportunities, but it's also just like incredibly saturated and difficult to do that too.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. To your question, Ali, I think in terms of like the content side of things, man, I don't know how much. I think like viewing gaming content has just evolved too, because like back when Among Us and all that stuff, like this is kind of, I think, behavior that was growing based on like COVID and like us being
Mhm.
all like inside and stuff like that. And not to say like we've like hit the turning point where that's not as big anymore, but I think like all of that we were all like just together watching games and watching,
Yeah.
we had these huge parasocial relationships with like streamers and all this stuff and wanting to see that kind of see that thrive and see them all play games together and stuff like that. And I still think that exists and it's a huge thing. But I do think now it's starting to turn more into like maybe a little less streaming and more people just going out and like playing games or that kind of thing. Rather than watching only, they're going out and trying them themselves. And a lot of these games that I mentioned that I said this is like a good year for gaming in general, like these aren't games that are like super, I'd say they're like very watchable, but like there are some of them are like single player experiences, some of them aren't, and not all of those translate to viewership on like a streaming level. I'd say on YouTube it's probably great. Like I think YouTube is still probably doing really really well in terms of like gaming and videos and stuff like that. Like I watch playthroughs more than I should when I should just be playing the game sometimes because I just don't want to get invested or something.
Sure.
Um but yeah, like I just think it's just like an overtime things have kind of changed. Not to say that like because less people are watching on Twitch, they're not watching gaming or they're not playing games. Because like Twitch itself has transformed, right? Like who's popular now? It's not the ninjas, it's the Kai
Mhm.
Cenats and like some are watching for like these like this live experience, like kind of like the Mr. Beast effect or like Kai or FaZe Clan. It's more of these like fun. You're just watching them live their life. Or I'd say the other side of it is like turned into kind of like a political spectrum, right? You watch streamers that kind of like align with your core beliefs, and you just want to hear what they want to say more than seeing what they want to play instead. It's like transformed itself.
Yeah, well said. So people are playing just as many games, but not necessarily consuming as many streams and
I
stuff
think
like
they're
that.
still playing a lot of games. I wouldn't say like we'll hit COVID numbers of people playing games again. Like Dota was giving away like $20 million with crowdfunding and their own prize pool in COVID. Like now they're back to like 2 million, 3 million. Like I don't think we're gonna see those numbers again because everybody was just inside. Like what else are you gonna do if you were a gamer or even close to gaming? You're just gonna play games. But I think it's still healthy, is what I want to say.
Yeah, for sure. No, well said. We're I think we're still in the 7 talking points here. Actually, Sam, did you give your answer to like agreeing that 90% of the playtime is going to the old mega titles?
I so 90% I think is inflated. I've heard
Yeah.
that the number is 80% or maybe a little bit below 80%. So I'll give him another, like, he's not wrong, but like blaming Web3's failure. I mean, how much old music do people listen to compared to new music?
Mhm.
How many old movies do people watch compared to new movies? I'm rewatching Breaking Bad right now. Like
Yeah.
it's not specific to video games, so blaming failure on it to me feels like a reach personally. But I love Hunter. Shout out.
Sounds good. All right, number 4, tokens changed incentives, like shipping tokens before games. Yeah, I think Sam, you
Yeah,
kind of
for
touched on
sure.
that a little bit
Yeah.
earlier.
No asterisk.
Yeah, no asterisk on that one. You can move on. All right, 5, crypto games spent too much time targeting the wrong player types. And maybe we
Yay.
should clarify who we think
Yay.
they were targeting.
They were
Targeting.
targeting the 2021 NFT boys that were spending 50K on cool cats, and
Right.
Yeah.
turns out that wasn't sustainable for anybody.
The
Yeah.
speculation market, like, yeah, they were definitely fully turned into the speculation market and weren't able to, like Sam said, it doesn't last forever.
Yeah, agreed. All right, moving on. We got games with blockchain have extra hurdles. Steam banned crypto. Steam, yeah, they did. App stores limited it, but that's now changing. Yeah. I mean, I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah.
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 Okay. And then the final point is that many of the popular crypto games get zero mindshare on crypto Twitter.
They repeat that one again?
Many of the popular crypto games get zero mindshare on crypto Twitter. And then he gives the example: Night Crows made 150 million in revenue in
NFL
its first
Rivals
7
and stuff.
months, and hit 400K. And then Rivals has an NFT
Yeah.
with comedy making millions. So
So if I
maybe it's
understand
just
correctly, it's like crypto games are failing because like they're putting too much attention into crypto Twitter when they should have put it into like actually making the product viable and getting users as a whole. I mean, that's how I'm going to take it, and I'd probably say yay.
Are you saying that like there actually are more successful games than we think, where they're just not getting talked about on crypto Twitter? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think it's the way I'm interpreting it is like there's a lot of successful games that we just don't talk about, and the ones that are spending time to try to be talked about on crypto Twitters is the reason why like that, and like a lot of them failed.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
say yay.
I would say yay as well. The asterisk on this one is like, I mean, Cambria is getting lots of
Yeah.
attention right now, but it's because there's speculative value to be drawn out of, if you made like that guy that made a post that he made 70 grand, everybody likes that post and reads the comments to that post because they want to figure out how to make 70 grand.
Yep.
And so NFL Rivals, on the contrary, where there is crypto and they're finding success, but it's hard to speculate and make and trade cards and make 70 grand. Nobody talks about because there's no speculative value. Like it's clear who the audience is, right? It's like,
Mhm.
Ali, if you started streaming first person shooters instead of card games, like I bet your viewership would have gone down. And unfortunately,
Sure.
like I can pick a single game and keep playing it, but like my audience knows me as like a variety guy that talks about topical things, and talking about how much money I made on Gods Unchained, which I've been playing for 4 years, is like not sexy or interesting anymore because it's not a lot of money and the game isn't new, you know? So
Right.
I think like there is sort of a value incentive mismatch. I think I'm also kind of tired though of like founders beating up content creators like it's our fault. And like if we just only made content people didn't like, that somehow like their game would be successful. Like that's fucking bullshit. The
I
real
agree.
answer is you come to crypto Twitter as a founder to do a few different things. You come to figure out what's a good idea and what's a bad idea. You come to find the right like VCs that you can partner with that understand the industry and what you're trying to accomplish. And you come to find communities of people that will hopefully champion what you're doing and be sort of a test audience. And then beyond that, it's still your job to be a successful game, to reserve enough for marketing, to find new audiences beyond that. We're not the end all be all, and we're also not, the problem necessarily whenever you fail. That being said, I can understand their frustration. I just feel like creators have become such a like whipping horse for people that are like, "Oh, why didn't we
Scapegoats.
fail? It's because Sam didn't stream it, you know. It's because like Ali was talking about us on the podcast. It's like, come on, man. Like, you need 5 million users to be successful. Like, I wish I could do that, but I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not, Tyler one. I can't do that shit.
That's a great point. I mean, I've always said that like the content creators are like the stickiness. Like once people go like the marketing needs to happen first. People need to go look the game up, go to YouTube, watch the tutorials, and like then the content creators keep them there.
Yeah.
But the content creators can't be the marketing. If Tyler One did stream Parallel or something, obviously like those partnerships are worth it. They bring a lot of eyeballs, but it can't be the sole. Like I don't think Tyler One could solely do it. It's like when Marvel Snap launched, you could not scroll Twitter without seeing a Marvel Snap ad like
Right.
every 5
Mhm.
scrolls, I swear, Or maybe
Yeah.
it was targeted to me because card games. I don't know how many people got these damn ads, but like they did such a good job of marketing it. And like I think the bulk of the audience comes from experiences like that. And then it's the creators that are like, oh, cool people that I like to watch are playing this game too, right? It's cohesive, but I agree, Sam. Stop blaming us.
Can I add one more example? Because I think that's a
Yeah.
great thing that you said. Yeah, even Marvel Snap, they have an amazing game, like a borderline revolutionary iteration of TCG with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
biggest, most popular intellectual property in all of the Western world, maybe the world period for a period of time there. And they still spent a fuck ton on ads. And I don't know how much Marvel Snap paid, but I do know Genshin Impact made Genshin Impact, which made them over $1 billion, leading up to Honkai Star Rail, their next big title that they were going to release. They set aside, I should say, before the game even released for Honkai Star Rail, they set aside $400 million to advertise what is essentially an iteration on Genshin Impact when they already have made $1 billion and have tens of millions of users that know about the IP and the parent company, which by the way was more than it cost to develop the game. The game cost them 300 million and they had 400 million to go sell the game. So yeah, again, this idea that like Sam or Ali can really do like we could be a cog in a machine that ends up leading to success, but you can't blame any of us in particular. It's just wild. It's like arguing that like it's like arguing against culture. Like you can't argue culture away. You could just be mad at it and like rant to yourself for a bit.
Yeah. No, you guys are spot on. It's straight up like at the end of the day, it'll be product and marketing, and then the glue that kind of helps hold it together is like the content creators and stuff like that. But it is not you guys are not like the end all be all, like a reason why a game did not work or something like that's dumb. That's crazy. And yeah, I think that you summed it up perfectly.
Thanks for your validation, guys.
No, no
Now
problem.
Just like really making it apparent, like it's the attention economy. Like how
Yeah.
well can you market? How well can you grab someone's attention in 5 seconds? Across, whether you're a game advertising on Twitter or a content creator with your TikToks or whatever it may be. It's like kind of a crazy world we're living in, and like our attention spans. Man, I know that's nothing new, but just
Yeah.
that conversation definitely
Yeah.
highlighted it again. Um, all right, we probably only have so much time left here. So let's move into some just talk about Parallel, like more focused on that. Sam, you did go to the World Championship.
Oh yeah.
That was exciting, and just it's kind of been said here that WolvesDAO is now like one of the sponsors. So maybe give a little bit of context on that because we say it every tournament, and so maybe the people want to know what the relationship is there.
Yeah, I mean, WolvesDAO, myself, Peyton, Koji, Kalos, a lot of the guys have been friends for a long time at this point. Koji's been coming on the show for practically 2 years at this point. Um, and so the fact that they're taking such strides in esports and with, Reddit and with Ali and sort of taking on the brunt of the hate that naturally somebody has to fight through in order to get to the point where people are like, oh, it's not so bad. I've had a ton of respect for them. I also really like the game and I really like the other products that they're building. So it was a no-brainer for me whenever I found out that this was an opportunity that we could kind of collaborate on. The Wolves DAO wants to support the Parallel League, and also the Parallel League and the Parallel folks want to support the Wolves DAO. And so it's a really beautiful, mutually beneficial relationship. One more note too on the Parallel World Championship. Not only did I have an absolutely incredible time at the event itself, I had so much fun, but also I was just at FarCon in New York City like 3 days ago or something. I got back and I was grabbing an hors d'oeuvre at this like kind of stuffy party, and I looked over and this guy's wearing a Parallel shirt like underneath his jacket, and it was a Parallel
No.
World Championship shirt, and I was like, you dude, like what's up? Like I love Parallel. I was at the championships too, and he was like, oh dude, yeah, and it kicked off this amazing conversation. We ended up hanging out for like 2 hours. I just ignored everybody else at the party. We had so much fun. His name was Matt. And it turns out he's like a top 50 player. He like just barely missed out on being invited as like a player itself. And I
We
was like,
know.
oh,
Yeah,
Are we talking about
Malston.
Malston?
yeah,
Malston.
Matt
Talking about
Alston,
Malston.
dude, we became such fast friends. I can't wait to hang out with him again. So
Yeah.
Parallel, there you go. Parallel's making friends all around the world. Just amazing.
That's
Friends we
crazy.
made along the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
There we go.
I miss prepping for tournaments with Malston. Some context for you, Sam. I was a coach before I'm now like a designer on the TCG, but I coached Malston and like a group of players. Man,
Amazing.
I miss playing with them and preparing with them. But yeah, that's sick.
That's
Great
awesome.
guy, by the way.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Cool. That's dope. Well, okay. So, what do you think Parallel like? What has set it apart? Do you think, in relation to other Web3 games?
The thing that originally attracted me to it was we talked earlier about like, 2021, 2022, that sort of Web3 cycle. I don't know, the like shameful period for our industry. And, what I saw a lot was like carbon copies of Web2 things with Web3 added. So for instance, I remember
Mhm.
somebody pitching me, they go, Sam, we're going to change MOBAs forever. I was like, what do you mean you're going to change them forever? Like, tell me more. I was so excited because I love MOBAs. He was like, we're making League of Legends, but you'll own your skins. I was like, do you have like Riot IP? Like, is this literally League of Legends? He was like, no, we're just gonna copy everything about it. He like hands me a phone, and it was literally like their fake version of Garen and their fake version of Jinx and their fake. And I was like, this doesn't count. Like, people don't care about your fake version of like owning the shitty RC Cola version of the thing they love. Like, they want to own the thing they love. And so whenever Parallel came along, and I remember exactly, I was at 3XP, and the game had like almost never been out for in public, and I got to hang out with Koji, and I got to play the game. And as soon as I learned about the banking system for cards, I was like, whoa, like I've played a lot of TCGs and I've never seen that mechanic. Like, they're actually doing something unique. They're doing something different. They have their own spin on it. And it made me so bullish. And since then, of course, I've seen a lot of the other mechanics that they've introduced that I haven't seen in other TCGs. And look, we talked earlier about the shotgun approach. Like, let's change 67 cards and see what happens. I'm bullish on people that are doing things different than the entire gaming space, not just with blockchain,
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great answer. It's cool to hear you bring up 3XP because that was a while ago. I was also there, and that was one of the first times I think Parallel really was getting unveiled, and I think that was what, like over 2 years, maybe 2 years ago. It's kind of crazy how far things have come since then. So maybe 3 years ago. I don't know.
A long time ago. I was like 10 episodes into Gamified, so it had to be just over, just over 2 years, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's a great answer, and particularly with the other titles like Colony. I mean, it's literally revolutionary, like for sure. And then obviously Sanctuary is going to be like pretty hype. I hope to play that as well.
Sanctuary
So
is going to be crazy. I mean, like we're a long way, but I get to talk to Astro, who is the lead designer every day. And the amount, even for Colony too, John, like these guys put in so much like time into just thinking about like, is this the right system to put in our game? And like they'll sometimes come and talk to like Veen and I, and like we all have a huddle every day that we go and talk in each other with each other, and we'll debate over like what systems need to go in the game, and everyone's so passionate about it. So I just wanted to add that part in with like Sanctuary, especially and Colony, that like the guys working there, man, they're trucking along, man, and they really give a shit. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like they want their game to be played. Like they really want it to be played, and they want to like do stuff that like they want to make sure the systems they put in are like legit. And like with Sanctuary as a whole, like we've had a bunch of extraction shooters now like hit the market and testing, like Marathon and Arc Raiders, like I said. And like when those games came out, you best believe like Astro went and played those games a ton. And he's like,
Yeah.
I need to know like what they're doing. I need to know like did they make the right choice, or did they miss? Like does that affect how Sanctuary does things or whatever? So I just want
Tell him,
yeah.
get that inventory system out of there, bro. I hate it, dude. I hate it. I'm not touching it again till they just give me a natural inventory. Fuck, I hate
I
it so
get you.
much.
I get you. I get you. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil any of the decisions they've made, but I think they are making the right decisions, and they really care, which is like
Yeah,
what
I can
matters.
tell. Yeah.
So yeah,
Talking with them at the Parallel World Championship again, they gave us like that private demo and spoke
yeah,
through a lot of their thought process and stuff. It's awesome to be able to meet the people and see how passionate they are about it, and how much care they put into all the decisions. And like a ton of people love those kinds of hardcore shooters with that inventory system. So even if they don't take it out, like I'll live, like I can respect the decision, but I hate it, dude. I hate it so much.
oh, Sam's throwing down the demands. I don't know. I think
that's
we have to.
fair. It's fair. Those are good. It's good to have those. I mean, like, it's you're pretty much correct. Like they will look and evaluate whatever they want to do, of course, and do it to the whatever they believe is the best.
Right.
But I think they give a shit. So like when you say something like that, they hear it. It's not like, oh, Sam's an idiot. Like I'm gonna do what I want. It's like, whoa, these guys are all saying this thing. Maybe we should like let's sit down and talk about it or whatever.
Yeah, you can listen to me and call me an idiot as long as you're listening at least for a couple seconds before you make
Yeah.
the determination.
That is actually one thing
Absolutely.
that the Parallel team does really well, is that they listen. Like they're it's when you become the big conglomerate Blizzard, lose touch a little
Yeah.
bit, with
Yeah.
your players. I mean, not every time, but the position that Parallel is in, like it's a pretty, I think, intimate relationship between dev to player, and they can really hear
Yeah.
people's um
I
feedback.
mean, I've made that a main focus for myself too. Now that I'm designing cards for the TCG, I'm like, don't forget, like, go on Twitter, see what people say. If they
Mhm.
think something's bullshit, go back to like Veen and I. Sometimes I'm like, bro, they're all complaining about this card. I know we don't give a shit, but like, I think they're right. Like, let's try to find out how we can make this like amicable so everyone's kind of like happy. And we do listen a lot. And sometimes we listen and yeah, we're like, we make the decision. No, we're just going to keep it. We think it's fine. But then if it gets to a point, you change it. But yeah, like staying on the ground helps a lot. It is scary. Like I've started to tweet like about card choices that we've made in the shotgun patch, and I'm like waiting, like, yo, someone's gonna call me out and be like, "You're an idiot," and I'm like, okay, just take it with stride and try to explain why you did that, and if
Yep.
admit that, like, yo, if it fucks up the game, it did. We'll change it. We're not afraid of like I think like bigger games like with card games especially, they don't want to admit they made the mistake, and they'll let the card like roll out of the season or something like that, or touch it once and then like,
Yep.
we tried. But I think at least at Parallel, Veen and I are very, very okay with being like, okay, this is too much. We messed up. Let's dial it back. Which is like,
Great.
I think a breath of fresh air for gamers in general.
Yeah, the best competitive games needed Jeff Kaplan, who like did such a great job of this
Yeah,
at Overwatch the first like 5 years
he was
before it
so
all went
good.
away. So
Yeah,
good at listening to feedback and calmly explaining the decision making process.
yeah.
A little bit of sad. Like I loved Overwatch. And like I don't this thing.
Yeah, we had some good years, sis.
Yeah.
Oh, we had some good years.
It was definitely some good years. Mookah, I will say, going over the patch myself, I don't think I had too many of those moments, or really any at all, where I'm like, what the heck were you guys thinking? So, or just from a
Even if you
personal,
did, I will take it. It's fine. We took some risks. Like we literally took the
except for
Catherine
the
Paragon.
Catherine.
Yeah, that's fine. We took the Catherine
The
Paragon. We're like, what if
Catherine,
we just made it a card and you can't play it in Catherine? And we did it. And
yeah,
like that hasn't been done. We're like, let's try it. That
Let's
doesn't mean
go.
you're gonna get that for every other card in the game. We're not gonna be lazy and just make the Paragons cards that go into other things. But for that one,
actually,
we were like, let's try it.
Sam, what's your take on that? Basically, I mean, Mookah just said it, but essentially, like they've taken the Catherine Paragon, right, 4 cost 5/5, and they've made it a card, and now it just can be, as long as you can't play it in Catherine, you have to be playing a non-Catherine Paragon. But what, just what's your take on that, and how you think that that's going to pan out?
So, to understand my answer to this, you need to know a little bit of lore about me. I told you that I wanted to be a professional StarCraft 2 gamer. Outside of that, I was like the most diehard StarCraft fan ever. Like I bleed blue for Team Liquid, my boys, and I watched StarCraft 2 slowly die, and it still has a little bit of a scene, but Blizzard had a fundamental approach of we will almost never touch the game, and when we do, it'll be very, very slight. So they did that for StarCraft Brood War. Brood War is still successful to this day. Congratulations, they found a way to make it work. But I was watching League of Legends change stuff like every 2 or 3 months, and I was like, I'm playing way more League. I watch StarCraft, but I'm playing way more League because it's fresh and it's new and it's interesting. I'm
Mhm.
curious how that weapon's gonna work and all this stuff. And I was like, please, Blizzard, please. Like it's like 2015. Like, please, how can you not realize that like we need to, like make it spicier? And they would be like, nope, 8 months between patches. Like, we're just gonna wait. We're just gonna find out. People will find a strategy. And like 2 or 3 times they did. I will give them that credit that like in 10 years, like 2 or 3 times people figured out that if you do your spawning pool, like one more drone before, and then you put a thing like whatever, yes, you can beat the barracks rush. But for the most part, it was just misery watching people beat their head against a wall of a strategy that was like super overtuned, like 70% win rate, and just losing a bunch. So, with that being said, I would way rather watch people take swings like this. If you guys feel like there's some magic there whenever you make Catherine a card, like by all means, give it a go. You can always undo it. I think the value of cards and like the tradability makes it like a little a little extra spicy because you can really like upset a lot of that balance that you might have on the financial side. But Koji's told me like he doesn't care before. He was like,
Yeah, we
I don't
don't.
care at all. Like we can't take that into account. And I
Yeah.
respect that.
Yeah, we had buffed one card to make it way better, and I'm actually pretty scared about that change. It's Cyrene for you, Allie. A
Yeah,
card that
yeah,
saw zero play, and we made it
yep.
very playable. And people I saw online, people were like, I bought up all the Syrenes, like they're all gone, they're not on the
Oh, wow,
marketplace
really?
and stuff like that.
Right.
And I was like, okay, fine. Like that's how it was in like paper TCGs. You'd buy a
Yeah.
bunch of the card and then it'd show
Yeah.
up on the ban list the next day, and you're like, oh man, like I'm boned or whatever. Or they would like release a new card and this other card suddenly comboed with it and it was the nuts and everyone would buy it. Like it's how it goes. It's how the TCG market goes. And I think we should embrace that rather to like be like, oh, we made a card, we can never touch it again. Like it has to stay that way. I'm not a fan of that. I'm happy Parallel is okay with that. And I think I've learned I'm very new to game design. Like, they took a shot on me and it's been going great so far. But like one of the things I learned that was very crucial is that when you do things for your game, you should be trying to evoke like an emotional response. Like if you're happy and excited, that's good. But if you're pissed, that's also good. That means you care, and that means there's like a connection. But if we just go boring, then you lose it all.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to challenge your players and see like, look, we threw a curveball. How do you feel about it and stuff? And sometimes it backfires, but like you get the appreciation that you're willing to take this risk and you're willing to like make the game fresh and try things. Otherwise you're just gonna get bored and leave and just watch the game, if at all.
Well said. I
Yeah.
I love that philosophy. I'm glad you guys are adopting it for sure. Nobody
Yeah.
really wants to play boring games, right? So,
I hope so. Yeah. That
so
being said,
Sam,
I'm completely scared about changing 70 cards, by the way.
yeah, I mean,
Like, I don't know.
that's fair.
That's another topic.
So, Sam, real quick though, you said you bleed blue. Does that mean that you are a Cathari main? Like, did you like take that philosophy and bring it to Parallel, or who do you align with?
I am a Cathari main, but my favorite is
Oh,
Shroud, to be honest. Like
yeah.
the
Okay.
Shroud vibes are undefeated.
Okay.
Especially of course with Ali's deck. But yeah,
Yes.
Dub brought me into the dark side, started playing Cathari.
Of course it was Dub. Of
Of
course it
course.
was Dub with the Cathari. Well, before we end the episode here, Sam, is there anything that you are like really excited for in the future?
Mm.
You know, that you want to talk about or just bring attention to, for the parallel community?
And I mean, I love when people love gamified. So if you guys want to listen to founders and interesting people in Web3 talk about what's going on in Web3, Gamified is on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. You can also listen live. Shout out to Ali again. Also, I'm really excited. I with the Farcade. I know I've brought it up a couple of times, but like every month the things people can do with our AI studio is just like it's like exponential growth. Like it goes from being like mediocre to like decent, and now we're at like good. And I think in like 3 more months it's gonna be incredible. A year from now, like I can't even imagine. So if you always wanted to build games like Mookah, I mean, not everybody gets an opportunity to build and design their own game. If you want that opportunity and you're okay doing it, for mobile games, I think the Farcade is one of the coolest opportunities I've ever seen in my life to sort of do that and also get distribution for those games. Otherwise, Wolf and the Wolf Discord, we have an awesome Discord community going on that's a little bit more public now. The companion app that's coming soon. And lastly, come find me at Gamescom, AVAX London, Toronto. I'm leaving for Toronto in a couple of days. Let's hang out. I want to meet people that are just still passionate about the industry and not just going to yell at me about like NFT prices.
Yeah, the IRL events. I mean, these are literally the memories that like stick with us, till we die. And I've had some amazing ones, but I'm still undecided on Gamescom. Parallel definitely will have a booth at Gamescom, so it's a pretty enticing trip to go all the way to Germany. So we'll see. But all right, Sam, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and giving us all your thoughts. Mookah, any final words for Sam or anything?
No, this was awesome. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming. This was kind of a different episode than we normally do, but it was a blast. Like I absolutely loved it.
There were awesome questions, honestly. Way more interesting than a lot of podcasts that have come on. So great work. Maybe even do more that are like this if this is unique. I thought it was great. Thanks, guys.
Amazing. All right. Thanks, Sam. Everyone, don't miss the next week's episode with Veen and Mookah. They're going to go over the shotgun patch. That'll be really exciting. But thank you to everyone that listens to the podcast and gives us the interaction on YouTube with the comments and all that good stuff. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
This was a 983 Media Productions podcast.